Thanks so much for coming in today. My name is Dr. Incompetence. I am really dreading working with you. Excited. I'm excited to work with you today. Recently on Instagram, I ran a story asking my followers to share with me what the most problematic or unhelpful things their therapist has ever said to them are. And in today's episode, we are going to break down some of the more common answers and talk about why they are so bad. I just don't think that you're really trying. You're not getting better. I don't see any improvement in symptoms. And because I can see into your brain and witness what you're actually doing inside, I can tell that you're not working hard enough. One of the most common answers was some variation of "you're not trying hard enough." The idea that you can meet someone for an hour every other week or so and know how hard they're trying is stupid. Some people have to work much harder to get the same results as other people. A mentally healthy brain has more leverage than a brain of someone with mental illness. If I had 100 million subscribers, I could spend 2 minutes making some stupid video about absolutely nothing and it would get millions of views. If I have very few subscribers, I could spend hours and hours and hours making a masterpiece, and at least initially it's gonna get just a few views. Someone who's struggling with a mental illness has to work so much harder to achieve those same results. So if you're looking at someone who is not getting better, or is getting better very slowly, and your conclusion is they aren't trying or they aren't working, how do you know that? Let's say that you and I are walking up a mountain together, and you are half a mile further up the mountain than me. What you don't know is your backpack weighs 30 pounds and mine weighs 300 pounds. For me to even remotely keep pace with you, I probably have to work 3 times harder than you. So a variation of that same idea, and I don't know that a lot of therapists would say this to a client, but this is something that a lot of my supervisors and professors told me, and I know this is a very common sentiment in mental health, is don't work harder than your therapy clients. If you are saying, I'm not gonna work harder than you, what you're actually doing is you're matching your input, how hard you're gonna work, to their output. And that is a huge problem because their input's probably 3 times what their output is. They are working so much harder than you realize to make what might look to you like minimal amounts of progress or minimal amounts of follow through. So basically what's happening when you refuse to work harder than them is they are carrying your lazy ass every single session because they are actually working 3 times harder than you and you don't realize it. I'm sorry, but I'm all out of ideas. I've tried the 4 things that I know, and I'm not willing to learn more of them. So you're gonna have to see somebody else now. And what I think therapists should do when that happens is get better and work harder. You're expecting your client to change and grow and learn, because those are the things they must do to get better and manage their mental illness. So don't you think you should also be willing to change and grow and learn? Because if you're not, it's a one-sided relationship. We're expecting them to do that. We're expecting them to change and grow and learn. If we're not willing to do the same, what's the point of any of this? You can get better. Like, have you peaked? Are you the best therapist you can possibly be? Nothing more to learn? No more room for growth? I doubt it. I don't think that's real. I don't think any of us ever, I'm not there. I don't think any of us get there. I don't think that's a real place that a person can be. If I am not able to help somebody, I assume there's something I haven't figured out yet. There's some angle I can take here, some amount of buy-in I need to have, maybe some rapport level, maybe we're not at the right rapport level yet. I assume there's something that I haven't done yet or I haven't figured out yet. You know what I do when I feel that way? I keep working. I keep trying. And I think that's what we should all do. Tell me everything about every trauma that's ever happened to you. You've known me for 10 minutes, so it's okay. You're asking them to tell you about the worst, most embarrassing, most dehumanizing, most personal things that have ever happened to them. After they walk out your door, they are going back to school, or going back to work, or going to the grocery store, or going home to their families. In this person's mind is a lockbox with chains wrapped around it and about 9 different padlocks and all these other locking and security mechanisms, right? And if you ask them to tell you about their trauma, you're asking them to open that box in the session. Do not open that box if you don't know how to help them close it, because sometimes they don't. And if they don't know how to close it, when that box gets open, you have unleashed hell into their life. And they are not going to be the same for a while. You also haven't earned it. It's disrespectful. It's disrespectful to ask people to do that when they don't even know you yet. And everything you just opened up, they have to now think about and deal with on their own, most likely, between now and next time you see them. So you damn well better help them put that stuff back in the box before they leave, or you have just messed up their life. Deep breaths, deep breaths. I just don't understand how you could possibly be depressed when you have good things in your life. Isn't that what depression is, when your life just sucks and nothing is good? Anyone who suggests to you that the quality of your life or the lack of traumatic experiences in your life should be a reason for you to not feel depressed or anxious or angry or whatever, they know nothing about mental health. If you hear something like that from your provider, get up, walk out, and don't ever come back. They don't know what you're going through. That's what they've actually just told you by saying that. They don't understand how your brain works. They don't understand depression. They don't understand anxiety. They don't understand trauma, and therefore they can't help you. If what you want, if what you need is to be invalidated, if all you need is for someone to just say, oh, it's not that bad. Your life is good. You have good things. Things are okay. Things are not as bad as you feel like. You can probably tell your hairdresser or the cashier at Walmart what you're going through and get a response like that. Your insurance doesn't need to pay for that. You don't need to pay for that. You certainly don't need to spend an hour of your time to get that. You can get that from anybody. So if you get that from someone who's a professional, get out of there, because they don't know what they're doing. They don't get it. You just need to leave his ass. Just get out of there. He's garbage. He's trash. You deserve better. There's one situation I can think of where this would be appropriate, and that is if there is some type of abuse occurring in a setting, then it is appropriate for a provider to give direct feedback that, like, this needs to end, you need to leave. If we're talking about any other situation, then being that certain, being that directive about something you need to do in your life is a problem. Because it's not recognizing the inherent bias that we're going to have as a therapist in all of your relationships and all of your settings, which is that you are mostly only going to tell us about the bad parts. Because that's what we're here for. The whole point of therapy is to make the bad parts of your life better. So people don't usually come to therapy to talk about all the stuff that's great about their partner, because it's not a problem. People don't usually come to therapy to talk about everything that they love about their job, because it's not a problem. Therapy is mainly a space for discussing problems and solving problems. So as a therapist, you need to realize you are always going to have a pretty one-sided perspective of all the relationships in this person's life, because they are sharing with you the things that bother them or frustrate them or hurt them the most, and they're probably not talking about the other stuff because they don't need help with it, and that's what you're in their life for. Why? You have to trust me. This won't work if you don't trust me. I have been in your life for 5 hours now. Why do you still not believe everything that I say to you? And you know what you should probably do if your client doesn't trust you is try to earn it. Prove it to them. Seriously. How do you build trust? This is a show, don't tell situation. You have to understand that this person has been hurt a lot by other people. They don't have that many people in their life, if any, who get it. They've been misunderstood, they've been invalidated, they've been given a lot of help or advice that didn't help them, probably from other people who demanded that they listen to them and trust them. You have to prove it to them. You do that by rapport building. You do it, I think, my personal opinion, some wouldn't agree, maybe with a little bit of self-disclosure here and there, to help people see that you do get it and that you're not just some person who went to school and studied this in a textbook but otherwise has no understanding of it. And then once you have that little bit of buy-in, then that's when you give them something based on what you understand, about their unique, specific situation. What is your number one, like, I am 100% sure that if this person does this, they will feel better enough. They will notice something from this, that they're gonna come back and want more. Give them that thing. Show them that you get it. Give them your best tool. I just don't understand how you could let something like that happen to you. Victim blaming. Any therapist, any person who ever says this to you, what they're actually saying to you, if you translated their words, is, I don't understand trauma responses. Because when we feel like we are in danger, when we perceive danger, even if we're wrong, perception is subconscious. So it's not like you can, in that moment, be like, oh, I feel like I'm in danger, but I'm wrong. No, it's a subconscious survival mechanism. And any mental health provider should know this, okay? The trauma responses, fight, flight, freeze, and fawn, are not choices that you make. They are reactions that happen in your limbic system and your nervous system, which are not parts of your brain or your body that are consciously controllable for the most part. They're not choices. They're not things you decided. You didn't decide to have a fawn response. You didn't put yourself in that situation. Something happened that felt dangerous, and in a split second, your brain decided, without your consent, beneath your level of conscious processing, that this was your safest reaction. The point is, you didn't choose them, and therefore, it's not logical or right to judge them. And any mental health professional should know that. There are times when we can use silence to encourage someone to keep talking, to keep going with what they just said, or sit with what they've just said and ponder it. It's not like you always have to respond instantly to everything a person says, okay? That being said, there are a lot of therapists who abuse this tool, and I think that's just lazy. If you think that all your therapy client needs to get better or to figure out their next moves or next steps is just quiet time with themselves, what is your job? Because you know what else can give them silence to help reflect and think more about what's going on and what they're thinking or saying? An empty room. Like you're not really doing anything by being there in that case. So I'm not saying therapists should never use silence, but use it sparingly. Because if you use it too frequently, I think it just comes off as boredom or lack of investment, and it's really gonna hurt the therapeutic relationship if you over-rely on it or use it too often. Well, I definitely think that part of the problem is that you drink too much coffee. Therapists not being willing to do the things that they're asking their clients to do. People can smell hypocrisy from a mile away, and nobody likes it. Nobody likes a hypocrite, and nobody wants to listen to a hypocrite. If this is so important, and this is so helpful, and this will make such a difference in my quality of life, why in the hell are you not doing it? You had better be modeling, not just preaching and espousing, but modeling the behaviors that you are suggesting to them. If not, you're sending them a mixed message. You're telling them, this is so important for you. You need to be doing this. You should be doing this. I'm not going to do it, though. Why? Why aren't you doing it? If it's so good for your mental health and you're a mental health professional and you value your own mental health, why are you not doing the things you tell them they should do? Do the things you tell people to do. Your request will be so much stronger. Your ideas will have so much more follow through. You will have so much more trust and so much more rapport with people if they can see that you believe in your own words. Because if you're not doing the things you tell them to do, that's what you're communicating to them. I don't actually believe in this. I don't actually have faith in this. I think you should do it, but I don't need to. Well, that's crap. Sorry. I'm just so sorry that happened to you. It sucks. Eating in session. If you're the therapist and you're the only one eating, while they're talking, while they're processing, the worst parts of their life or their trauma even. Do you know what that feels like? It feels like you're watching a movie. Because eating while watching something happen is like a sign that this is entertaining to you. Especially if it's something like loud or with a really strong odor. Hopefully, if you're a therapist, you know what misophonia is because it's very common, especially among people with anxiety. Many people have intense sound sensitivities and hate the sounds of another human being eating. It fills them with rage and disgust. So, like, maybe don't trigger them in their what's supposed to be their safe place, which is your therapy office. Eat between clients. It takes 5 minutes. It takes 5 minutes to eat food. You don't need to do that in the therapy session. Unless it's meal support or you're eating together. That's the only exception to this rule. Otherwise, don't do it. You're ruining your relationship with people. Don't fall asleep in your therapy session.